Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Gurpreet Singh. Today we'll covering about a multiple representation situation, how this situation can arise in the transaction and how it will affect the transaction. And we will also be covering the different scenarios when brokerages come into the multiple representation situation. Now let's first discuss what is multiple representation. Multiple representation can occur in the offer process when both seller and buyer are represented in the same transaction by the same brokerage. Brokerages must disclose this situation to both seller and buyer, and they can proceed with this transaction before the written consent has been made or obtained from the both seller and buyer. Because both clients must fully understand the limitation to the services being provided by the brokerage in this situation. Let's assume that both seller and buyer provide written consent to be proceed in a multiple representation situation. Now there will be certain limitations which the salesperson and brokerage must be obligated to, and they can disclose this information to their clients unless otherwise instructed by the client inviting to do so. Now we'll go through what are the services which the salesperson cannot be performed unless otherwise instructed by their client to do so. Firstly, the amount a seller may or will accept to the buyer. For example, a salesperson may not disclose to the buyer that a seller will accept less than the listed price. Secondly, they can't advise to the seller how much they should accept or the amount a buyer may or will pay to the seller. For example, a salesperson may not disclose to the seller that the buyer will pay more than the offered price or the listed price. Thirdly, they can't advise a buyer how much they should put an offer on when submitting an offer. Fourthly, a salesperson cannot disclose the terms of any other offer. For example, another salesperson from different brokerage has put an offer on the property, so he can disclose the terms of that offer or note the offer price the other salesperson has put an offer for. Lastly, they cannot disclose the personal motivation behind the seller or buyer for selling or purchasing the property, for which means that they can disclose to the buyer why the seller is selling their property, and similarly goes for the seller what they cannot disclose the personal motivation behind the buyer purchasing that property. Now we'll go through the possible multiple representation situations. First situation is when both the seller and buyer is represented by the same brokerage through a different salespersons. For example, let's assume a salesperson A employed with brokerage A listed a property for sale. Now there will be possible two scenarios when brokerages can come across under multiple representation situation. First will be when the salesperson B employed with the same brokerage A from the same branch has put an offer on the property. And the second situation will be when the salesperson B employed with the same brokerage A from a different branch has put an offer on the property. It could be possible that a brokerage has different branches, so any salesperson from different branch put an offer on the property will be considered under the multiple representation situation. Second possible scenario will be when one brokerage representing competing buyers who will be placing an offer on the property at the same time in the same transaction through different salesperson. So they will come across a multiple representation situation as well. One key thing to note in this situation is the seller is represented by a different brokerage. For example, let's assume a salesperson A employed with brokerage A has listed a property on the market. Now salesperson B employed with the brokerage B and a salesperson C employed with the brokerage C has put an offer on the same property. So now they are under a multiple representation situation. So it is the responsibility of the listing salesperson to let both the competing buyers know that they are in the multiple representation situation. So there will be a two possible situation when brokerage B is in a multiple representation situations. First will be when salesperson B and salesperson C are in the same branch of the brokerage B, and the second will be when salesperson B and salesperson C are from the different branch of the same brokerage B. In this situation, they are in a multiple representation situation because it's possible that the same brokerage B has different branches across Ontario. So the third possible scenario is when the same salesperson A employed with the brokerage A is working with both the parties, means both seller and buyer in the same transaction. So in this situation, he's in a multiple representation situation. So that's pretty much for this video. I'll see you in the next video. So if you like the video, hit the like button, comment below in the comment section, and if you have any question, just let me know. I'll answer each and every one of you. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There is a ton of information coming through. Peace out.